Madden gods.
Perfect. Welcome into Tips for Gamers. How you guys doing? Today we're going to do a remake of the best gameplay sliders because we had a lot of questions and we missed a couple of things telling you guys. I came out of anesthesia yesterday and I was a little bit tired and I kind of missed a couple of things. And we just did as we were off as a company yesterday. So editing wise, everything, we were just off. And so we apologize to you guys. We realized with all the questions we got, we said, oh crap, we got to redo this. And so that's what we're going to do today. So if you guys came back from yesterday and you're seeing it again, know that we're going to answer most of your questions. If you have any other questions, make sure to comment them down below. We're going to try to answer every question that we can. Also, make sure to hit that like button because we're going to delete that last video. So all your likes are going to be gone. So if you liked the last video, try to like this video to help us out. That would be absolutely fantastic. And it doesn't hurt for you to subscribe. Being a champion is fun. No one ever said, I hate being a champion. And subscribing helps you become a champion. It's pretty simple. Okay, so for the first question that we get is like, CPU, is this good for CPU versus CPU? Yes. Okay, is this good for player versus player? Yes. Is this good for player versus CPU? Yes. Okay, because you got to know how the actual sliders react. If you start slow simming or fast simming, it's CPU versus CPU. It just will default to that. If you start playing in the game, it'll default to player versus CPU. Okay, and vice versa. We have not seen any evidence to suggest otherwise. So with the injuries, we also have those to 22. People asked us about this. Shouldn't it be higher because then you have less injuries? No, it's actually the opposite. A setting of 0 will disable them entirely. Okay, 25, a little bit too much. 22 is a sweet spot. I wouldn't go any lower than a 19 because then it just becomes ridiculous. Then the injury rating for a player doesn't do anything. It should do something. If you want to get a really good guy in the draft and he's injury prone, that's on you. But you shouldn't make someone else pay the price who passed up on that guy because it was smart to do so and he got someone who wasn't as high of an overall who can actually play and that guy gets penalized. That doesn't make sense. Okay, that's not realistic. Same thing with fatigue here. The higher, the worse it's going to be for these players. If you go too high, it could be just absolutely ridiculous. You go too low, you start disrespecting a player's stamina. All right, that should matter. A player's stamina and injury should matter. Same thing with the player speed parity scale. Speed should matter. They used to have a game setting where you could change the gameplay speed from very fast to normal to what have you. And instead, they want everyone to be able to play this game, whether you're 3 years old or whether you're 50. They don't care. They want everyone to play the game. And I think it's doing a disservice to the game. There's no reason someone should get penalized for having a 95 speed receiver who's getting gunned down by an 85 speed linebacker, even with bad angles. That doesn't make sense. That's not realistic. Okay? And the game is super slow. Honestly, the game needs to be faster. Because you ask an NFL guy, he will not tell you that, oh yeah, this game is molasses compared to real life. Absolute molasses. So I wish it could actually go negative. So this is going to create a better separation. This gives people, hey, if you want to go and get a guy who's injury prone, well, it may come back to haunt you. You want to go and get a guy who's very fast and he's not as high of an overall, but you're going to work on him because he has that speed. Well, that's a different style. That's what happens in the NFL. They'll go and get a really fast guy, not because he's great at catching, but because he's incredibly fast. They shouldn't get penalized for that. Okay, so that's what we have there. All right, so for your quarter length, if you are simulating, if you have a simulation league and you're simulating, it doesn't matter the quarter length if you're fast simming. Okay, it will default to a 15-minute quarter from the evidence that we have found. If you are slow simming in the game, if you want 15-minute quarters, that is going to give you the most realistic numbers. Okay, if not, you're going to be like, why is the rest of the league so much further ahead of me? Well, there you go. It's because you're jumping into a game and it's only a 6-minute quarter and you're literally getting 6 minutes of stats compared to another team that's getting 15 minutes per quarter. So that's what you want to understand. If you're user playing, well, do what you can feasibly do and you'll be fine. If you can't play 15-minute quarters, I don't expect you to because in a user play league, I wouldn't be able to do 15 minutes. It'd kill me. Take me forever to get through a season. Accelerated clock, you want on. Minimum play clock, 14 seconds. This is good. Okay, because it gives you enough time, not too much time where you're sitting there wasting away and watching yourself rot away while the CPU is just doing stupid stuff. And, just it's much, much better. The lowest, obviously, is 10 seconds. I've run this before, too. Would not go higher than 14 seconds. Not a shot. I always love to kick first choice and then against the win. That's what I love. That's my jam there. Okay, so for the penalties here, offside, we have a 75, false start 60. You're not going to notice like crazy insane amount of penalties. Maybe one game you'll notice a lot of penalties. Well, guess what? That's real life. Okay, other games you're not. It's not going to be insane. Offensive holding, it doesn't happen as much as it should. That's why we bump it up to 80. Face mask 55 at a 99, and this is still not going to happen. I can see a comment now already. Oh, bro, it happens too much. No, it just happens to you because maybe you have undisciplined guys or what have you. You don't always default, guys. So many times, like even with our playbooks, people will default like, hey, bro, ain't working for me. These playbooks suck. And it's like, well, not really. You don't actually understand how the playbooks work. Okay, you need to understand maybe if you're getting too many penalties, well, maybe you have a bunch of undisciplined dudes back there and that's their trait, bro. And it is what it is. Sometimes you have a trait like for a quarterback who's just paranoid back there and you're telling me about how many interceptions your quarterback's throwing and it's like, well, yeah, but your quarterback sucks. So you have to look internally first and figure out we can't play everyone's game for them. We can only give you guys the parameters and say, hey, try to do your best within these, right? So illegal block in the back, 55. Roughing the passer is a 45. Defensive pass interference, we got a 65 on there, and we have everything else turned on. Player skill, remember you can find this through the downloads. You can go to the market or whatever the hell it's called and you can find it. We're actually going to do a video on how to import it because of course Madden never makes this stuff really easy for people to go and to do. It's just make everything as confusing as possible. QB accuracy, we got a 48 for player skill. Remember, you can do this works for player versus CPU versus player if you just download our CPU skill and player skill, right? Pass blocking, we got a 39. Wide receiver catching, we got a 50. This year's pass blocking was actually too good. And you just don't see as many sacks. It's kind of strange. So run blocking is a 48. Fumbles is 60. Reaction time, we got a 55. Interceptions, we got a 25. The highest you can go, I wouldn't start going into the 30s. 29 would be the biggest cap. 28 would be preferable if you want to go higher, but 25 if you want a little bit more skill back there and you just, it's a little bit tougher, but not too ridiculous at the same point in time. Pass coverage, we've got a 50, tackling a 52, field goal, and this is going to be the exact same. So special teams is going to be the exact same for player skill and CPU skill. 55, 48, 55, 60, and 50 on the special teams. I don't want to go over them because I don't care to go over special teams. I already gave you the numbers. CPU skill, we got 48 of 100. Pass blocking, we got 33 out of 100. Wide receiver catching, 49 out of 100. And honestly, this one could even be bumped to 50. And I would have I bumped it the last one. I must have pushed that one down on the one. But I do like 50 because the wide receiver catching is just a little bit just janky this year. Run blocking, we got a 48. Fumbles, we got a 60. Reaction time, we got a 60. Interceptions for the CPU is a 28. And pass coverage is a 55. Tackling is a 45. Field goal power, 55. It's the same thing there. I'm not going to go over those ones again. And then if you notice a little bit too on the catching, you're like, could be a little bit higher on that. I wouldn't go higher than a 52. Definitely not higher than a 52. But remember also, guys, we're going to be doing updates through the season and constantly be testing all of our content for you guys. So to make sure you guys are in the now always. That's what we want. So it's good to see you guys, even though I can't see you. Yeah, have a good day. Light it up.